maybe these cities aren't as poorly defended as we first thought, but maybe also we're not going to get as much as we thought out of these campaigns if these cities are just going to go up in flames. And it's pretty unclear who causes the fire, whether it's an Ionian who gets a bit overexcited. You know what happens, you're busy fighting and you knock over an oil lamp and everything starts going up in flames. It is the ancient world. Gaurav, you probably know about the Great Fire of Rome. No one really knows how that happens. And it could have
You
been
could also
like,
make the same almost for the Great Fire of London, I might add.
yeah, Great Fire of London, Alexander the Great burns down Persepolis, whether by purpose or by accident.
A little
But
bit of drinking.
yeah, massive
With
fires that wipe
Alexander,
out.
at least with Alexander's burning of Persepolis, you can attribute a good percentage of the likelihood to drinking.
Like great cities, even the best ones like Rome, they can just go up in smoke, like in the ancient world and in the medieval period. But they look at this and they think, you know what? I think we might have been lied to. I think Aristagoras might have misled us when he put out that bronze
Uh,
map showing all of the
I
wealthy
might just
lands
add
of
one thing.
Asia. Yeah,
I don't think anyone here had the insights of Crassus to create a fire brigade service and extort
yeah,
people.
yeah. This, and the thing is, it's the Athenian response, which doesn't really get much attention from Herodotus. Herodotus basically says that the Athenians straight up leave and never come back and refuse to fight alongside the Ionians. Is that the Athenians don't stop being at war with Persia. They just stop fighting alongside the Ionians, which gives the sort of impression, and it's all part of this literary tradition, that this revolt of Ionian freedom, instigated by Miletus, this evil city that originates all evils, that's the scapegoat for the entire Greco-Persian conflicts of the burning of the Athenian Acropolis, all of the lost lives, all of the enslaved Greeks, that all of this is somehow the fault of Miletus and Ionia.
And
Because
not
the
the people of
Ionians,
Miletus.
yeah, because they dragged mainland Greece into a war, which, by the way, the Athenians were already at war with the Persians. So if anyone is to blame, it's technically the Athenians. I mean, the Athenians, prior to Hippias's demand, prior to the Persians' demand that they bring back Hippias, they accidentally, as a democracy, they accidentally swear fealty to Persia. They send the earth and water, thinking that it's an amazing Persian alliance that's going to help us fight the Spartans. Turns out they've just submitted as vassals to the great king. And when they refused to bring back
At least they
Hippias,
don't
it's now an
get kicked
open
out.
revolt. Yeah.
Well, they don't get
So
kicked down the well, right?
so it's a rather convenient. So the Ionians and Miletus provide a very convenient scapegoat for the Athenians, even though the Athenians were the first Greeks to actually be in open war with the Persians. But nevertheless, turns out being a snake you can't defend really, really can damage one's reputation. And I'm not just saying this as a person who loves making fun of Trent Alexander-Arnold. So
So
Aristagoras
that's what you
finds
had
himself,
warned me about in
yeah,
advance.
yeah.
Thank you.
Ar- Aristagoras finds himself in a bit of a sticky situation. He's lost he's basically lost the Athenian allies that he had that he had gone on this embassy to bring back. He had also chosen not to lead the expedition himself, and the expedition itself to to Sardis was also a defeat. However, despite this, the Ionians do have a lot of luck in actually inciting, inflaming basically the entire western periphery of the Persian Empire into open rebellion. The Carians also go into revolt. The Ionians send ships over to the sort of Thracewood region around Byzantium, sort of around the area of modern day Istanbul, and end up securing territory in the northern sort of Aegean Sea.
Uh, just for my knowledge, So it's not only Ionia, but all these provinces that we can see, right? Caria,
Yeah.
Aeolia, Troad, etc. They all have a good amount of Greek or Hellenistic influence right now, and it's quite strong.
Well,
Would you
they're
say that?
referred to as the Phoenicians in a way, I think.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is the people that colonize this part of the Mediterranean.
yeah. All of the sort of settlements in sort of the west, in sort of Western Anatolia, a lot of these settlements are places that were previously occupied by people such as maybe the Hittites. I mean, there's the old site of Troy, but all of these are sort of quite affluent areas that have access to the sea, and thus there's a massive incentive for explorers and sort of uh, adventurous typed people who sort of unhappy with their lot in their sort of home city. They look at this area and they see a land which has access to the sea and also is also quite fertile as well, and they think, you know what, I can build a settlement here. And so during the Archaic period, quite a lot of Greek settlements and polis city-states end up being established in, well, Ionia, but also there are all there are all kinds of Greek colonies, such as there's one in Syria. There's also a one in Egypt as well. The Greeks make it all the way there, and these colonies
It's
are just
involved.
really
It's not Alexandria, I guess.
no, it isn't. It is not Alexandria. I believe it's called Naucratis, but I could be wrong. It is worth a look. Just type in Greek city in Greek colony in Egypt, and you'll probably get the right name. But yeah, these are these locuses of trade and these massive opportunities, especially because archaic Greece is not the most pleasant place to be sort of living in, especially if there's these conflict between cities, you've got the factionalism, and just being able to get out of there and found a new city, wouldn't that just be great? So you can start afresh, but also start afresh in the knowledge that you have security from your old city as well, because you obviously maintain that tie. It's
I
actually a
guess one
practice.
of the I guess it's one of the things we will discuss in the upcoming episodes when one of Themistocles' rivals also returns from exile. It's kind of on those lines you're talking about.
The ancient Greek world is actually a very interesting place because there is actually quite a lot of displacement and movement of people across the Aegean, whether it be as political exiles or it's because they just see an opportunity and they take it. Basically, they establish a city on behalf of their mother city because they're able to convince the mother city because that area governs some sort of strategic interest. Like the area might be rich in timber, it might sit on a confluence of rivers or on a main road, and so it sort of improves that city's access to resources. And it's a pretty easy sell, especially if you can get enough people to sign up for to sort of get on this colony. But yeah, basically, a lot of the western area, the western sort of periphery of the Persian Empire, goes up in the flames of rebellion. They start revolting against the Persians, and the revolt even makes it all the way to Cyprus, where Cyprus sort of declares this independent revolt. And even though the Ionians have just lost the Battle of Ephesus, this the revolting Cypriots then send an embassy over to the Ionians, and they say, "Can you send aid to help us in our rebellion?" The Ionians agree because having this conflict in Cyprus ties down Persian forces and diverts the Persian fleet to the point where so that they're not attacking Miletus basically. So the Ionians send a send a fleet over to Cyprus, and it's very interesting that they actually sort of present themselves as speaking with a common voice. The people of Ionia, we come here to fight alongside Cyprus, basically, and and
Cyprus
thus,
gets invaded and counter invaded so much during this Hellenistic era.
yeah, absolutely. Cyprus is one of those places where it's somewhat similar to Syria, where it's a pretty strategically important area, but it's not strategically powerful enough to hold back all of the greater powers who want to hold this strategic area, basically. Syria in the ancient world is also very similar to that. So you have the wars between the Ptolemies and Seleucids over Syria, the war between the Hittites and the Egyptians over Syria.